provide the link later. Yeah, welcome back, Masters. So last week we have discussed about the intuition and how we have to look at situations clearly without the blinders of the emotion, because emotion is the one which actually blocks us to see the reality. Emotion tells us to see from their own perspective, from that situational perspective. But what is the reality? That is the one that emotion have blocked us. And why this is happening is because of the restless mind. And for that, meditation is very important. So we have been reading from this book, Intuition, Soul Guidance for Life Decisions by Sri Sri Dayamata. So let me share this thing today. So here that we have to understand, we have to seek the divine guidance, which is from our highest self, from our soul, because our soul is always guiding us how to move forward, how to take the decisions rightly, how to listen to our heart. Sometimes we have to completely surrender to our highest self in a way that at any given moment of time, it's like trail and error. Yes, we go forward, and at any given point of time, we feel that the situation is not working and we have to be open to come back. So, trusting the soul doesn't mean also going towards till the end. Trusting the soul means experimenting. Trusting the soul, trusting your highest self is like going forward, trying out new things, um, with where the intuition says that you have to do it in this direction. So you have to always keep listening to your inner voice. And when the mind is restless, when the mind comes in, and when the logic is kept forward, then the intuition is sitting in the back seat. So we have to always bring our intuition to the foreground, and we have to put our mind and logic to the background. So this is the way that we completely surrender. Here also we have to put our ego self aside. So here we have to understand ego self is something that not being seen about the power, or about someone else putting down, but we ourselves imagine, like in the work, let's say, we always have projects. Let's say one project is not working up, and instead of taking up the another project or seeking out the solution, one will always think, hey, these ideas came from me, and if we drop down, this is my baby, it has to make it work. So this subtle behavior here, the author also explains that it is the ego self. We have to put the ego self beside, and we should always never try to analyze the problem. We just have to remain watching from the heart. So when we try to analyze, that's where again the mind is coming in the foreground. So we have to be concerned, we have to try to find the right course calmly by concentrating on our heart. So we have to just be an observer of the heart. And that comes from the deep states of your meditation. And if your mind and emotions are calm and attuned to the voice of intuition within, you will be rightly guided. So, this is the great truth, and this is the important thing that we have to still our voice within. And we have to always remain flexible. An inner sense will prompt us to the best way to proceed. And when that thing happens, we have to go with full faith. And as I have mentioned before, we have to remain flexible. Let's say we think that it is the right way to go, but at any given point of time, we feel that we have made the wrong choice, or we have not going in the right direction. That which means we have to step back. We have to accept the correction. That course correction is always required. And in this way, when we mentally surrender ourselves to our heart, we will come out, we will overcome the ego self, and we become more open. So, how do we become more open is like a child. What is the child's true nature? That they are very pure at their heart and they are very open minded, that they keep on trying new things, they keep on listening to new things. The child do not have a belief that they know everything. The child is very curious. So these are the qualities that we need to imbibe in ourselves, like the trusting, the purity, and the loving. So when these habits are there, like we have to nurture ourselves, we have to simply nurture the child like a mother. So in this way, we'll be more open and will be receptive. And here, the next thing is the desires and emotions also will come in place. So we have to understand from which direction the emotion is coming. Sometimes, when there is a deep sense of emotion lingering in it, like towards a situation or any problem, then our eyes become very blind, our heart becomes also very blind. That's where we have to work on. We have to put an effort to be less emotional. It is easily said than putting in practice, but this is what the great sages are mentioning, that we have to put an effort to be less emotional and more objective, and like stepping back from our personal attachments and prejudices. So there are three qualities here that we need to understand how we can attain that wisdom and inner strength as well. Like letting go of things, like being open, is something that we have to understand from three-dimensional perspective. The first thing is the inner calmness. When we are calm, when that inner calmness is not just silencing ourselves, but how we are putting the mind very calm. So that's where we become more intuitive. And as I said just now, the second one is an effort to be less emotional. And the third one is a humble turning to our highest self for guidance rather than sticking to our own wisdom. Sometimes listening to the wisdom also um, changes the course plan, but you have to trust your heart. And for that, the major quality is daily meditation, daily meditation, that we have to go deep within. We have to surrender ourselves. We have to make, um, we need to go ahead with the daily meditations. So this is all about that being open and receptive masters from this book. So in the next week or next session, we will understand about how do we solve our problems with guidance from within. So thank you all for listening. And if anyone have any questions or would like to share anything, please you may unmute yourself and do so. Yes, Rajaji.
Yeah, I just said, how do we know? How do we know that the intuition is telling us? Still, even if I sit in meditation, posing a question, do I get any answer? If I get an answer, it is still from my mind rather than any voice, right? That directing me. So, how do I know that it is the right?
Yeah. So the first thing here is, as we said we first have to still our mind. Yeah. So when we sit in meditation, when the mind is restless, no matter what, how much we think that we are working from intuition, the mind is playing the major role. We have to give time to ourselves as well when we have kept the question. And when you let go of wanting to have an answer, immediately, whatever your intuition says, like your heart will tell you that this is the right way to go. That itself is equally an intuition. So that's where we have to completely surrender and go ahead. So there will be no logic, there will be no mind that applies here. And it slowly develops. It's not a overnight task, or it's not an like in a month it has been developed. But the more and more we meditate, we develop this quality. The process is slow, but we have to trust.
Okay, I will give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I take a little time.
Yes, yes,
So,
please.
so I'm right now looking for a house. I
Yeah.
like the house, but there it has plus and minus. Okay, we are in a confused state. Now I sit in a meditation. I don't know what to take the decision. Can you guide me? And I ask my higher self, and I sit. I don't have any plus or minus, but I'm just open. But when I, after some time, even I should not, I should be in thoughtless state. So I don't think about it. But where the inner guidance is going to come from?
So you're saying that there are two things here, Rajaji. I mean, of course, masters, any one of you can also correct me as well. So you are mentioning that there is plus and minus, right? When there are plus and minus, then obviously the mind is coming in here.
Yes.
So that's where we are saying that it has to be dropped. The idea of having an answer itself to be dropped, to feel that, you're of wanting, let's say, a house is there, as you have mentioned. When you drop that idea of whether this direction is going, am I correct or wrong, then obviously you will intuitively feel it that, okay, this house is calling me. Let me go ahead of buying it, no matter what the things are. No, things will always come to your place. So it is a feeling of the heart. It is the language of the heart which guides you.
Okay.
Let's say a simple example, as you have given, house is again a materialistic realm. A child is born, like when a baby is born, we know at any cost the child will walk. How do we know? It's based on our intuition, and it's based on our trial and error method. So things will always work out. This is how we have to see. And yes, Ushaji, maybe you wanted to
Yeah,
answer.
yeah, just few cents here, and I would also wanted to brief about the mind structure that you explained. But first, for the intuitiveness, we dealt with a very similar situation this week, where we were unable to take a decision on a particular situation. Okay, so three of us, me, my husband, and son, we sat for meditation. We just prayed that we are unable to take a decision, and let one of us be guided through a decision. Okay, so we all three sat, we surrendered, we meditated. But after the meditation, no answer came. Okay, but what happened after that was, um, we sat and discussed what was bothering for us to proceed, right? One by one we discussed, we applied logic. It was not an intuition that time. We applied logic one after the other, and then we decided that, okay, this is not bothering, this is not bothering, this particular thing is not bothering. But we pinpointed on one thing which was little bothering for us to proceed. Then we decided, can we still go ahead with this option. Okay, then we decided, okay, let us go ahead. And when we made the decision, uh, me and husband, my husband felt a lot of inner peace with it. Okay, so what I wanted to tell you is, not every time we might get an intuitive answer, but even it is okay to apply logic. After applying the logic, we need to connect with the heart on whether, how do we feel, do we feel any peace within, or still the confusion arises. Two things are here. First is, after applying the logic or an emotion, we need to connect to the heart and decide how do we feel after making the decision. Okay, so like if there is a calmness or peace within, and if there are no further confusions on, we should again not revisit and confuse ourselves whether our decision is correct or wrong. If both these conditions are satisfied, then it is like an intuitive guidance indirectly guiding us. To rephrase, it is okay to apply logic. After applying the logic, we need to connect to the heart and understand how do we feel within. Okay, that is one. And second thing is, we need to also check whether I am contemplating on the same problem again. If I am contemplating after making a decision, then again it is not an intuitive answer. But when the intuitive answer is applied through logic, there will not be any confusion after the decision is made. These are the two things I could think of, because when there are no confusions after the decision is made, then it is again intuitively answered. So I will stop here, and there might be many people who would like to answer. But Nilima, I would also like to take some few minutes on the mind structure you explained, but after somebody answers on the intuitive path.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for adding, Ushaji. As you have said rightly, yeah, it's always again being open. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Ram.
Yes, Master Neelima, wonderful session. And I would like to add to what you and Ushaji had shared to Rajaji. Rajaji, so, the very first thing we have to look into is if we have any fear of taking any decision. As far as we have a trace of fear in out of seeking for an answer, it could be in any decision. Yeah, shall I go this way or that way? And the desire to find what is right to choose is rooted in fear, then we would never get the right answer. Now, when we drop the fear, then instantly, number one, we are okay with any decision, because in the end, life is basically rooted in experimentation. Like even in today's sharing, it is said, trial and error. Our soul makes its soul plan in life with lots of understanding that this life is going to be a trial and error. I do not know if my soul plan would be accomplished, but I would go. I would do a trial and error. I would not know if this particular situation would lead me into my soul learning, although I make my soul plan. However, I will go. I will try. It's a trial and error. You see how much of trial and error is there in the soul plan in itself. Now, when we drop the fear, then instantly we are okay with any choice, because we are going with the same principle of fundamentally how the soul plan exists, how we come into this life, being ready for trial and error. Now, when we drop the aspect of fear, we notice, just like Ushaji's experience, our choices can become clear, not necessarily in meditation. Yes, our mind is also part of our intuitive source. Don't think that mind is against us. our mind is as well soul. Our mind is as well a pathway to get the intuitive thoughts. So don't think when a particular thing is coming from mind, it is my mind. Shall I trust it? So there is only one. And when we are guided to an answer, it can come through as well as a thought. So now, when we drop this element of fear and anything that comes by, even through logic, even through, it is not necessarily meditation. Suddenly someone comes and tells or talks about it and guides to you into that. Or you read something and suddenly you find that guidance. You see, there are paths, there are directions everywhere. Now, as we meditate and drop the aspect of fear, or rather when we know that there is no traces of fear, suddenly there will be so many channels that will guide us, or at least one channel that we feel more connected to and we go ahead. Again, as there is no fear, even if the choice fails, we know that this is a great learning. We would never go back and say, hey, at that time, whatever thought, guidance, even from my inner was wrong. No, it was correct, because we were about to experience failure. So removing fear, basically looking into our own self and looking if there is traces of fear, is more crucial. And when there is no fear, either of the choice leads you to the perfect learning. Thank you.
And that's a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ram, for adding. And as we have also discussed in the first session, you have rightly kept, this trial and error. Intuition sometimes always leads us towards the failures as well, because our soul also needs such kind of experience. So thank you for the beautiful answer, Ram. So yes, hope you got the answer, Rajaji.
Yeah, I mean, l- letting the fear to go will definitely makes me feel happy in choosing that decision, whether it is wrong or right. But yeah, that's a beautiful. Can you share me that book that you said? Let me try to read the intuition.
The book name,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll share it in the group.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Ramji and Ushaji and Nilmaji. Okay.
Yeah, excellent. Yes, Ushaji, you wanted to share?
Yeah. Uh, so whatever you shared, Nilimaji, like it is again comparing to the Vedic philosophy. Wanted to just detail very similar to whatever you shared. It is called as Manonmaya Kosha, the mental body, right? See, in Vedic literature, they are talking about four components of mind. I will make it very simple. The first component they talk about is chitta, right? Chitta is the storehouse of all our past experiences, desires, and emotions, right? So, whenever for any particular situation in life, if the emotions are overflowing, we can connect that, okay, my chitta is very active now. Just that understanding will help us step back from that particular situation. So, chitta is a component that is explained in the Vedic philosophy. It is all about emotions coming from the past experiences, our own desires, limiting beliefs, and so on. And the second component about the mind itself is buddhi. It is all about logic, right? So, okay, what is good for me? What is not good for me? Whether this will be beneficial, not beneficial, etc., etc. Everything is logic based. That is buddhi. That is again a part of mind that you explained. Again, when there is a logic applied, and when we can connect that, okay, this is my buddhi working now, and if we can step back a little bit, then we are again free from the mind. And the third one is ahankara, what you explained as ego self. Where they here the explanation is, okay, I am a man, I am a woman, I am I hold this position in this company, I have these attributes, and all the colored characteristics of our own self come under the ahankara piece. So there again, when any particular situation arises, and if I can see that it is colored by my ahankara or ego, that very understanding will also help us to step back. So this is in an overview, right? So emotions, logic, and ego is part of our mind. Just when we are aware of that particular logic, emotion, or colored behavior of our own self, will help us to step back. And when we step back and when we do not resist what is happening from the outside, and when we are in a flow state, a kind of beautiful thing happens. I am exploring it now, and just being aware of the mind structure help us to disconnect and move forward. That is what I wanted to add, Nilima.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Ushaji. Yes. So it is like in the end, being in the calm state. So beautiful. Thank you so much for adding. And masters, anyone wanted to share? Not? Thank you all, and have a lovely day. So thank you all, masters. Thank you. Namaste.